I'm Elisabete Ferreira. I'm from Gimond, Portugal. I'm a passionate baker, and I'm the last guest on Portugal the Simple Life podcast.
Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal the Simple Life. And I'm really excited to be joined here by Elisabete Ferreira. Elisabete, boa tarde. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon for you too. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the podcast. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Thank you. It's a pleasure for me also to share my experience with the bread, of course.
We're going to talk about bread. Oh, yes. It's bad. It's dangerous because if I start talking about bread for too long, I'm going to get hungry. And we're far away from lunch and far away from dinner. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
It's not dangerous. I think the good of this, you at the end of our discussion, we're gonna eat more bread, maybe.
Exactly. Good idea. Elisabete, why don't you start telling us a little bit about you?
I'm Elisabete Ferreira. I was born in France. My parents was immigrant in France, so I arrived in Portugal at the age of 8. When we entered to the European community, I felt a great cultural difference. I come from a city and went to the village of Gimond. I think that defines a lot about me, of course, because this kind of change is it's also what I am. I grew up in a quiet environment with time, quality of life, where there were still a large number of young people when I was young. And living in this village, we had, of course, a theater group, Sundays walks in the village itself.
What was the village, Elisabete?
Gimond.
Gimond?
The village in Portugal where I grew up, it was Gimond. I was born in France, in Autun, the small city, but quite different. Of course, France in that decade, in 86, was quite different from Portugal. France was a little bit more advanced. Not now, but in that decade, it was quite different. Okay. And living with the proximity, of course, to Spain, because we live at 10 minutes to Spain. And of course, we have another perspective of the Iberian, because it's despite it's very different, the culture, but we feel has a brother because we are very in the border. So for us, Spain is another city.
Yes.
For us.
Yes.
It's living in the countryside.
Yeah, because I've traveled quite a lot around the Spanish border. So we've been to, for example, the area of Monsanto, and that area where you got Spain right on the other side. We've been through to Zamora before. It's quite nice because the relationship seems very calm between the people on the border. Everything is nice, which wasn't the case hundreds of years ago. It was very different.
Yes. But the history tells us a different. Now I think we have a good relationships. Yes.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I always remember laughing because I remember meeting Spanish people on the border, and they said to me, "The Portuguese go into Spain to get diesel, and the Spanish come into Portugal to get food."
Yeah. But now I think more and more Portugal, it's very, very has for the Spanish people like to come to Portugal more and more, I think.
Why do you think they like to come?
Because we are friendly, we have good foods, we speak as well good Spanish.
The Spanish don't like to speak Portuguese.
No.
We speak everything.
But we speak everything, I speak 4 languages currently, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. The English is the worst, as you see.
It's not bad. It's really good. Don't worry. It's interesting because I was having a conversation in another interview with a gentleman who used to live he's Portuguese. He lives in London now, and he lived many years in Spain. And he was saying it's so interesting that it's these two countries that are right next to each other, but the people are so very, very different. And many people sometimes confuse Portugal and Spain. But from your perspective, what do you think are some of the differences between the Spanish and the Portuguese?
I think the Spanish are very more open, but also
Mm-hmm.
they are more national. So
Mm-hmm.
they like their things, the nationality, their Spanish things. And the Portuguese more open to have things of the other countries. I think we are more, it's different, but they are
More open.
how I say in English, but they like more a good, at the end of the day, good cups of things,
Os copos.
os copos, the small things, they finger foods, like a finger.
The petiscos.
Yeah.
Tapas.
This tapas.
Yeah.
And it's more a country for tapas, and they like to have go out of the house in the end of the day. I think it's very different. But I live near Madrid, so I close Madrid and Lisbon. So I 5 hours to Lisbon and 3 hours from Madrid. So
yes,
I'm closer to Madrid. So I live a little bit.
Interesting. And tell us a bit about what you do and how that all happened.
What I do a lot of things. So I study management, but in all my life I work in the bakery with my parents, and also I have also a consulting company about accountant also.
Okay.
But what I really love is to have make bread and bakery and all the smell of freshly baked bread.
The smell of fresh bread. There's nothing. There's few things that are better than that.
Yeah, it's very comfortable when you smell fresh bread.
We got in touch, Elisabete, because you won an award for the best bread maker. Is that correct? Tell us a bit about that.
World Baker of the Year. Yes.
Wow. Okay. So how did that all work? How does that happen? Take us through the process of becoming the World Baker of the Year.
It's a small. We need to prepare all our story about what we make about the bakery and the bread. We need to prove we do a lot of the profession of the bakery, what you do for our social responsibility about what you do, the sustainability also, if I use close raw materials, and also all I do is with a lot of innovation, but also the tradition. And I go in many countries also. I show what I do and what is important to see the profession of the baker and the value of the bread. When I started this project, I never imagined it. Of course, I will get to this point. It was years of hard work with many challenges along the way. But I also believe it was possible. This award is proof that when we dedicate ourselves, body and soul, we can achieve great things.
Yes.
This award represents not only a recognition, of course, of my journey so far, but also motivation to continue to contribute to an enhancement of the bakery sector. It's also, of course, a recognition of the team and the support of my family, of course, because we have a lot of work and many times you don't have it in home, you have in the work. So it remains also faithful to the roots of traditional baking with a stamp on even innovation. The innovation is very present also with us. Because
I always tell people that Portugal has the best bread in the world, and you're the proof that we do, So it's Between my job as a realtor at Portugal Realty and hosting this podcast, life is pretty busy. But lately I've been receiving so many messages from people that want to know more about buying property here on Portugal's Silver Coast that I've got to do something about it. So starting now, for subscribers only, I'm offering up a 30-minute session per day That's 5 30-minute sessions for a one-on-one meeting to talk about buying property here on Portugal's beautiful Silver Coast. This is for subscribers only. So please subscribe to book your session and get in touch with us through the links below via WhatsApp or email to book your session today. I'll be happy to speak to you. It's for subscribers only and it's completely free. Is Portuguese bread good?
Of course, the Portuguese bread is much more the product itself. It's also everything it represents in sharing with friends, family, of course, and even in religious acts, you have a lot of things with the bread. In a funeral, in a wedding, in many, many things, you have the bread. And also, you don't forget you have a words. We talk in English companion, but in Portuguese companheiro is share with bread. So it's a word very, very important. I think Portugal has this kind of things. And also, don't forget the Mediterranean. The bread and the food. It's the Mediterranean diet is known for being one of the healthiest in the world, and bread plays an important role in it.
Yes,
these types of diets is very, very Portuguese, and is based on natural and fresh and minimal processed ingredients. And here we'll talk about Trás-os-Montes, where I live. But it's also a time for sharing, because the food and the bread is, like I said, the companheiro. We need to have a table and a lot of friends also. This is diet of Mediterranean diet, and the bread need to be there.
The bread is always there. It has to be there for the soaking of the olive oil, to accompany the bacalhau. But one of the things I think people don't realize is how many different types of bread that we have. I mean, it's crazy.
We have a lot because we have, it's a small country, but it's too many different variety of sites, and we have typical breads in each site. So it's why it's different. Also because when many years ago they made bread with the raw material they have. The flour in Bragança is rye, so we have a lot of rye here. But if you go to Braga, Minho, it's corn. So it's depends the way where you are. You develop different kinds of bread. Of course, we have a history of behind this,
because it's something that. Bread is not something that's expensive to make, and Portugal traditionally a very poor country, so bread was also a necessity because it was something that you could make from almost all of the ingredients that we had. It was quite easy, correct?
Yes, it's more and more. It's easy, but you need time, and more it's difficult because you have less people want to work in this group. And if you don't put in value this profession, what happens in the next 10, 15 years, we don't have a bakery near our home, because more and more we don't have, and we need the bakers and we need the consumer. So I think it's very important to have also to talk about this and to value the baker you have near your street, your close you, because this gives lives to the city, to the village, and it's important also.
Yeah, we live in a small village near to Óbidos, near to Caldas de Rainha, and we have a bread van. You know, the traditional bread van. You hear them coming from 2-3 blocks, and our little son runs into the road with his coins to buy some gemius or some power. There's so many different types of bread. It's crazy, but
we are losing this. Then we are losing this. More and more, we don't have people who want to work in this, and we need to show it's a wonderful profession.
Oh, it's
and
beautiful.
you
Yeah.
need times, you need chemistry, you need knowledge, and it's what we want. With this award also, I want more and more, and it's why we are here also to show the importance of the bakery and the bread.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that one of the things that makes Portuguese bread so good is the ingredients. Just tell us a bit more about that. Give us a bit more of a scientific look into
The
it.
ingredients are very important for the digestibility, because
Yeah.
we need one ingredient is not a part of ingredient, but it needs to be. It's the time and temperature. We have two kinds of bread. Of course, we have many, but a kind of made bread, the fast bread and the slow bread. The slow, it's good because we have high digestibility, much more flavor, and we have all the nutrients we need. If we put a fast bread, in 2 hours we have to fast bread. In 24 hours we have a slow bread. What's the difference? You need to be more expensive, of course, but the people, I think it's, as you say, it's cheap. But of course, the bread needs to be democratic, not be very expensive. But also, we need to be different, see difference between 2 hours or 24 hours. And we have flour, we have taste, and we have much more shelf life. And we don't put nothing to have, only sourdough. The sourdough, it's bacteria and levaduras, yeast.
Yeah. Yeast. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they work and reduce the sugar you have naturally in the flour. I only use native flour, so with this you have a very interesting bread. But these two ingredients, they're not part, but they need to be part. It's the time and the temperature of the bread, of the where when we are, and of course the oven also is very important. It's not an ingredient, but it's part of the process. And of course, a lot of love, because you need to put in.
Yeah, love and good energy. How important is the water, the quality of the water?
The water, I think it's important you don't have too much, I don't know if it's preservatives or, but here we don't have this problem with the water. We don't see. And the water, it's normally, and what the study I see, I don't see big difference. But if the water have too much lechivia, I don't know what we say.
Yeah, bleach.
Bleach, we feel this in the bread, because the water is one of the most important ingredients. Or the flour, after we have the water, so it's very important. Natural water, but not be mineral. We don't need to be mineral, because we have high temperatures when we put in the oven. It's not a problem.
Interesting. Are there certain types of bread that are slow and certain types of breads that are fast?
I don't have fast bread.
Okay. How would people distinguish? How would people just that are trying to buy bread for the first time from a Portuguese baker, how would they know to ask if it's slow or fast?
You need to trust to your baker.
Okay, so you have to trust the baker.
Yeah. Because of course, I think this is the most important if the baker really loves what he do, he don't realize. So he try and you don't need, because if you taste long fermentation or fermentation, fast fermentation, you see the difference, because you feel this in your stomach.
Yeah.
It's why you repeat and you go again and again to the same baker, because you feel good.
Yes. Does the time of the slow bread and the fast bread, is there also a difference from a digestion point of view as well?
It's you have also high sugar in the fast bread. You don't have time to the degradation of the sugar. So when you eat this kind of bread, you have high level sugar in the blood. If you have a bread with slow fermentation, you have a lower. But it's important in all this also not high level of fiber, not also the flour, white flour, but also wheat flour. No.
Wheat. Yeah.
Whole grain. When we
whole grain. Yes.
It's very important also because this is important to reduce the glycemic index.
Yes. Glycemic.
So you have a lot, as you see, we have healthy also in the bread.
Yeah.
It's not...
it's a whole science.
We eat a lot of bread all day, so it's why I think it's important to choose a good bread.
Yeah, we eat a lot of bread. When my wife was pregnant with my son, she ate a lot of bread and butter, and now he is crazy for bread and butter, but not any bread. He's very fussy. He makes good choices with bread.
So it's very important.
Maybe, I don't know if you know the number, but how many different types of bread do we have in Portugal?
I have no idea exactly how, because we don't have this study, but more than 100, I'm sure.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a top 5?
For me, yes, I have one. It's my multigrain I have. It takes 3 days to make this bread.
Wow.
Because we have a long process, but it's very tasty, high digestibility, a lot of fiber. So this is my favorite.
Okay. If you were because we have listeners from all over the world, okay? Mm-hmm. And imagine we have somebody that's coming maybe from the UK or America, and they're going to go to a traditional bakery, and they see all the different breads, but they don't know what's the name of the bread. What are some of the breads that you would recommend?
It's difficult to say because each bakery have his name. We have we have trigo, you have rustico. Every bakery put different name, so it's difficult to have an identity. Of course, I know mine, but if you talk about pão de trás-os-montes de trigo, it's the typical bread when we start. And you see, it's a typical bread. You have the toast because it's a dense miga, é densa, não sei explicar aqui.
Corn.
No, corn. It's not the crusty. It's inside.
Okay. The dough.
The dough inside is not very soft. It's more dense.
It's more dense. Okay.
It's good for the butter, toast butter. Yeah. And also for the alheira. You already know what
alheira. Yeah, alheira is the sausage kind of thing with bread. Like with bread, yes.
It's typical from where I live.
Yes.
So I think if you would have a good... sometimes some comes the other country, you likes queijo da serra. It's good a rye bread for this.
Okay, because it balances the sharpness of the cheese.
Yes, because
queijo da serra is a very bitter cheese.
Yeah.
So the bread is a good company.
Helps to balance the
sharpness.
Of the cheese.
Mm.
It's so many breads. I think it's go and the different foods has for different bread.
That's true as well. Yeah. Yes.
We have also chestnut bread I made also here.
Ooh. So castanha?
Yes.
Pão de castanha.
Yes. Chestnut bread. Yeah.
I told my wife that I was doing this recording, and she said, "Okay, we have to go to Bragança to try the."
It's a pleasure, and make us a little bread, some breads, but you need 2 days. Don't forget.
I will tell you 2 days before. Elisabete, I mean, you were born in France. You came to Portugal as a young girl. You mentioned how you're right by Spain. But what do you enjoy about living where you live? What do you enjoy about living in Portugal?
I think Portugal is very inspiring with many different, but 200 wine of varieties from gastronomic point of view. All the offer that Portugal has in the terms of rural or urban accommodation, as well as in wine tourism farms, where they combine with gastronomy, with flavors. Portugal is very rich also in craftsmanship, and it starts to appear in different best shop of the world. So profits very interesting. It's not only from Europe, but we see more and more Americans, Canadians, Australian people comes, and it's a pleasure to see. Portugal is in Trás-os-Montes, is where I live, is the one of the territory with great historical tradition, influence from northern of Europe, with Asturias and with the influence of New Youth, with skills, good sausage. You have Visero pig, we have the caretos from representative of UNESCO, a territory with fauna and flora. I don't know it's the term. And
animals and flowers.
In Bragança, we have also natural and good gastronomy. And has what we see now, we are welcoming couples for other worlds and want to settle here. We are looking for another way of life, more peaceful, more authentic, because we have authentic foods, authentic. I don't know how to explain this, but it's very sustainable because it's origin. I think this is a different way, but in Portugal, generally, it's so different in all the country because you don't have, you don't need to be boring. If you don't want to be there, you can be in other country or part of the country because it's very special.
Yes. For people that don't know, what is the main, like the food from Trás-os-Montes? What are the main typical type of dishes from your region?
Is the meat, typical
good meat,
good sausage, of course, and the bread. And also we have a tradition in Easter is folar transmontano.
Is what?
Folar transmontano.
Ah, folar. Okay. Ah, yes, very nice.
But it's not folar from the other in your where you live. It's sweet. Here it's not sweet. It's salt.
It's salgado. It's savory.
Yes.
So, and what's inside it? Is there meat in?
It's sausage and ham.
Okay.
And different smoked sausage. Different. It's very traditional in Easter.
We had a chef on the podcast many years ago, Shakal. You know, Chef Shakal.
He already visited. I made some things with him in my bakery. Yeah.
He says that the best lamb borrego that he's ever eaten is from Trás-os-Montes, and he says it's because the air is so clean.
Yes,
it's true. And the sheep and the goats are happy because it's so natural.
It's true. Definitely, it's true.
I believe that.
You need to visit.
I do. I have to.
And inspire you to visit and to inspire new people to visit us, of course.
I don't need an excuse to visit new places. It's an amazing country to travel. Everything is close. Why do you think? You spoke about how it's you love to see people from all over coming to our country. Why do you think Portuguese people are so welcoming? Why do you think Portuguese people love to welcome and to be open to people from all over the world?
I think we are traditionally we are traveling of all our story tell us. We visit all the country. We discover many things. I think this is natural of us, and we are more open for. You can see we have Portuguese in all the world, and inspiring people. They are in all the world and are Portuguese, and they have the mentality of this as me. I'm open to the world.
Very nice. Elisabete, what is one thing that you would like people to remember from our conversation?
I will talk about what. Of course, the time has come to recover respect and love for the bread. It's something we all love to do. We have to complain when we don't like, as I say. Bakers need consumers and consumer needs bakers. Whenever you sit down at the table in a restaurant or at home, you should know the origin of the bread, the ends that shape it. Everyone knows the grape variety, the origin, the wine from the Douro, Rioja, Tuscany, Italy, or Chile. But does anyone know the origin of the bread they eat? How it's made, what it contains, who made it? what nutritional benefits it has. The knowledge of the baker combined with science can produce fantastic bread. There is a need to give a face to the baker. Is largely and know. What I want to remember is to include the word bread as something that is simple, profound, and very important to you.
I like that. How can people follow you, Elisabete? Follow you online and see what you're doing?
In Instagram and Facebook, Elisabete Ferreira, Pão de Gimond. I'm always, I don't speak about this, but I'm also president of Richmond, Portugal. It's an association for the valorization of the bread and the bakery.
Okay.
And I'm also a member of Ambassadeur du Pain, who organize also the Mondial du Pain. It's this year in October in France. So what we want is to come new young people to come to this professional bakery and to evaluate the bread. I'm
going to start speaking to my 6-year-old son, and that he becomes a baker. I think it's going to be cool. Me and his mom will be his first customers, It's a good place to start. Elisabete, thank you. A question that we ask all of our guests: Portugal, the simple life. Why?
The rich cultural heritage, the good bread, good music. The Portuguese are known for their hospitality, kindness, whiteness, to help natural beauty, stunning beach, natural parks, mountains, and rural charm make Portugal an ideal place for those who enjoy varied landscapes and love good food, of course.
I like it. Thank you very much. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you to you and the opportunity to talk about bread and the value of the baker.
Obrigado, Elisabete.
Obrigado.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal the Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to the Simple Life.